Good afternoon, people. Good afternoon. Welcome for another great, marvelous sales scope. iSoul is in the house. Also, today we're going to rock and we're going to go for a short, fast sprint. Today, hello, Wayne. Wayne is in the house. Wayne has been on broadcast before. Please follow him. Marvin LeBlanc. Who is Marvin LeBlanc and why should I be listening? Welcome to the house, iSoul. This ought to be eye-opening for you. Okay, here's the deal. Who is Marvin LeBlanc? Marvin LeBlanc is a professional speaker. Marvin LeBlanc has been an entrepreneur. I own 3 businesses since 1978. I've been a self-made man, self-made entrepreneur. I happen to have an Amazon best-selling book called Come Hell or High Water, Life Lessons from Hurricane Katrina. The subject for tonight is how can you find out what your prospects and customers want to buy. So iSoulPhotoLLC.com is in the house. Welcome. I'll go and check that out. So here's the situation. People always need to sell an item if they're an entrepreneur. So you might want to sell a product. You might want to sell a service. I help individuals and organizations reach higher performance. I do that by teaching a marvelous performance school. I teach and coach salespeople, either in individual settings or in group settings. And the key thing for you tonight to know is to memorize only 4 words. So Wayne, you're service oriented. Wayne, tell me your service, if you will. A boy tail is in the room. If you're an entrepreneur, boy tail, tell me your name, tell me where you're from, and give me your product or service. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you. I don't know how to say that. Ifaez, Ifaez, welcome to the house. Tell me where you're from. And I'm going to give you the 4 words that if you memorize these 4 words, you will always be able to have an informal sales conversation no matter where you're at. Runway analysis and airport surveillance. Very good. JBoss 1970 is in the house. So let's go through a scenario where you are entering into some type of conversation with either an existing customer or a prospect. Hi, how are you, sir? If you're entering into a conversation with a prospect or a customer, the main thing that you need to remember is this. In any conversation, you start with a hello and you start with what's called pleasantries. And pleasantries could be something about the weather or a sports team, but far too many people are nervous whenever they start, and they spend 15 to 18 minutes minimum just in the pleasantries. Guys, we live in an attention deficit disorder society right now. Nobody wants to small talk for 15 to 18 minutes unless they're retired and they absolutely have nothing left to do with their life. What my profession is in the state of Louisiana, I'm a licensed insurance professional since 1986, and I'm also a professional coach because I am a high performance expert. So I've been in sales my entire life. So that's my life's work, is to teach sales, and also I have a handful of entrepreneurs that I privately coach. And so my products range from, like for instance, this pocketbook here, 13 Rules for Solid Business Growth. My prices range from $1.99 when somebody downloads an audio track at MarvinLeBlanc.com, all the way up to, I have clients that up to $25,000 a year for a private one-on-one coach that gets total access to me and really understands all of my core values and principles, my tips, my strategies. So that's who I am. What kind of car have I got? That's kind of random, but to be honest with you, I have a Volkswagen now. But I drove a car for 200,000 miles before I got this Volkswagen. And so it fits my needs fine. I'm not really that huge into material wealth. I happen to be financially independent. Katya is in the house. If you're not following Reach and Make Millions, she's an unbelievable giver, and she has high content in the area of technical training. And so she takes a not so technical guy like myself, who spent my whole life becoming an expert in relationships and working with people and what motivates and inspires them. And she'll take a guy like me and teach me systems to actually generate passive income on the internet. That's Reach and Make Millions. So if you're not following Reach and Make Millions, this young person is unbelievable. So I'm going to make this scope quick. It's 45 minutes after the hour. I'm going to give you these 4 words that you need to memorize. If you run into someone by accident, or you're going to have an intentional sales call, these are the only 4 words you're going to need for your initial interview. Are you ready? Number 1, have. H-A-V-E. Number 2, like. Can someone go ahead and put this at the bottom? Number 1, have, with a question mark after it. Number 2, like. L-I-K-E. Number 3, dislike. And number 4, want. Now, here's the deal. You don't have to have a memorized script, but you do need to be a professional, a sales professional, where you run on some track mentally. The idea that, I don't believe in any sales tracks, it's crock. And here's why it's crock. If you're going to a Broadway play, you want it to be an exciting play. Well, that actor has practiced those lines hundreds of times, and that actor makes it look enthusiastic, makes it look fresh for the first time. That's why they're a professional. Well, you too need to have some memory hooks whereby you're having an organized conversation. Because if you don't have an organized conversation, you leave a prospect or customer in what's called a mental cul-de-sac. Hello, Rustlin 064. A mental cul-de-sac is when they don't know where you're going. And so where I'm going tonight is I am going to teach you those 4 words. And so you see Mr. Prospect, you see Mrs. Customer. And the opening conversation after the pleasantries, which should only be about 3 minutes. You don't need to sit there and bullshit for 15 to 18 minutes. Nobody's going to have that time. That's why this is not going to be a long career. A long Periscope. Left a direct sales company after 10 plus years. Entrepreneurship is so similar. Very good feedback there, Rita. Here's the situation. You're in front of that client. The first question that you got to ask, or you can ask it in any number of ways, but it's the same thing, and that is, Mr. Prospect, tell me about what you have. Tell me about what you have. Notice that's not a yes or no question. Tell me about what you have allows them to feel comfortable and allows them to start and go wherever they want to go with on what they have. And so you have to find that out. Before you want to sell something, you have to first know that what your product or service is can fill a specific need. Because otherwise, in the medical industry, if a doctor just go ahead and just prescribes you whatever, Ambien for instance, and they never even asked and you never told them that you don't have any sleeping problems. Well, Ambien's not the right prescription, so the doctor's got to ask you some questions. Well, you, as a sales professional, need to be professional enough to know What questions to ask? So you ask, let's say their name is John. John, tell me about your company. Tell me about what you have. You have to have the question. Now, guess what? If they're already balking in the beginning, when you're starting that question, they're probably not prospects. And so don't sit there and try to give your presentation to someone who's not interested. My whole world is permission based. That means that I'm going to deliver fantastic content every single time I'm on Periscope. Whether you decide that, hey, I think I can learn something from this guy because he's written down the 13 most important questions that he used to go from being homeless at 43 after Hurricane Katrina to bringing a business back. That might help you. I mean, what is it? I think it's $9.99. Come on. $10, I unload and unpack my knowledge to help you, okay? And if you don't want to buy it, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. I'm not going to high pressure anyone. Those days are far gone. What it's about is permission-based marketing. What it's about is the give first. Give first is what it's about. And so when you're asking these questions, you're giving attention to that prospect or customer. Okay? So what do you have? The next, and that is also called the opening question. So have, question mark, opening question. Second question, what do you like? That is a curveball question. So when I'm talking to John, most unprofessional salespeople want to go straight to their features, advantages, and benefits. And guess what? That's the last thing the prospect or the buyer wants to talk about. Matter of fact, lots of times buyers don't even know what product it is that you might have that can actually solve their problem. It's your job to fit that product into the exact needs of that prospect or buyer. So you ask them a question. This throws them off. This is great stuff. This has never been taught on Periscope. You know why? I'm the inventor, okay? 30 states have heard this information, maybe 50 states. I've been to probably 25 or 30, but it might have already been heard in 50 states. I talk all over America. This is my information, folks. This is my authentic information, MarvinLeBlanc.com. What do you have? And then we ask John something he's never been asked before, unless you're either a student of mine, I'm coaching you privately, or they've heard it from me, and that is, John, right now, what do you like about your current program? What do you like about my current program? I don't know what I like about my program. So it might be safety systems, it could be security systems, it could be wheelchairs. What do you like about what you now have? Now, the reason why that is such a great question is because if you're in front of somebody that was going to BS you, they're not prepared for that question. And so it throws them off and it gets them to think. And so if you're supposed to try to be getting someone's attention, you better be asking questions that sound interesting. Otherwise, the prospect or buyer is going to mentally check out, and you're there wasting your time, right? Hey, Nikki Love, I do want to apologize for all of the people in the room that I'm not responding to your comments. I do love you, and I am going to go back and read and check out the replay, and I will respond to you. So what I'm trying to do is trying to be very intentional and stay within a set time limit to reduce broadcast because everybody is so busy. So question 1 is, what do you have? Question 2 is, what do you like? That's the curveball question. Question 3 is dislike. And you don't have to say, well, John, what do you dislike about your current program? You could ask what I call, the dislike question is called the change-up. So in baseball, the pitcher throws a change-up. And when he throws that change-up, his arm speed is virtually identical to the arm speed of when he throws the fastball, or she. Well, the arm speed's the same, but the changeup is that the ball speed coming to the plate is much slower, and that's called a changeup. So when you're asking dislike, what the word is change that I'm trying to get you to remember, John, if you were to make a change in your current product or service that you're using, what would the new product or service need to give you that you currently don't have? Now that's important. And I hope you're listening hard. I expect you to go back and grab this replay and replay it over and over. Because if you're in sales and you're struggling, it's because you need to put in more time into your craft and learn what conversation sequences that will help you. This happened after years and years of failing. I once have gone 19 times. I've gone 19 times where 19 straight people told me no. 19 times. The average person wouldn't have been as stubborn as me and probably might have given up after three or four rejections. But 19 times I was told no. It's also a fact, a little off of the scope, that 19 straight times people gave me checks. 19 straight times they said yes. I've never gotten to 20 either way, but 19 straight times they said yes. Why do I know that? Well, because I keep track of my behaviors. I keep track of my activities. Are you keeping track of your behaviors and activities? Because that's what you're going to need. Thanks for the hearts, people. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for those hearts. Can we get some purple and gold hearts in there? Maybe some red hearts? That would be beautiful. What do you have? Okay, so here's the 4 questions. Thank you so much for those. I love chocolate hearts. Now we got some blueberry hearts coming in. And right after the blueberry hearts, what other colors do we have? Oh, let's see. Mr. Johnson is in the house. How do you dust off the disappointment? That is a great question, Mr. Johnson or Mrs. Johnson. And we will talk about rejection. Matter of fact, I'm going to write that down. And we're going to talk about rejection in a future scope. So let me hurry up and wrap up. I got 4 minutes. Let me hurry up and wrap up and give you this content. The 4 questions that you need to be asking so that you can qualify that person as a qualified buyer, that prospect. What do you have? That's the opening question. What do you like? Okay. It doesn't have to be straight products. It could be services. It could be chiropractic services. It could be intangible products. It does not have to be. No, Garrett, I'm not old, baby. My hair is old, but my heart is strong, Big Daddy. But I see that you're 12 years old, and I love you, big guy. Okay. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that comment, Chanel. Very good. Esther Rocks is in the house. She's kind of digging on me because she knew I had a $15 bet last night that if I finished my scope under 15 minutes, I won $15 from a virtual assistant who didn't believe that I could wrap up in time. That same virtual assistant didn't bet me today, but I've got a bet with myself that I'm going to wrap up in 3 minutes. So let's recap. What do you have? You ask the prospect. What do you like about what do you have? The third question is, what do you dislike? In other words, if there was something you would change about the current product or service that you're using, tell me what that would be. Daniel's in the house. He is a classical pianist. He's originally from London, England, and now lives in Brazil. A fascinating individual to follow. Have, like, dislike. And the 4th most important question, y'all got to ask this question, because if you don't ask these 4 questions, then you are not a qualified professional to go ahead and make a recommendation. What's the 4th question? The want question. Want. Question mark after that. What do you want? And that's in parentheses, that's the desire question. So, John, if there was a way that my company could continue to give you the same type of service, if not better than what you currently have. And at the same time, John, there's this one other program that you've been wanting that you don't have with your current carrier, and we could provide that. Can you imagine a situation where you might want to work with us and shut up and listen? I promise you with all that I am, if you memorize the sequence, they've got to be in this sequence. Have, like, dislike, and want. John, if there was a way that my company, whatever your company does, you might be selling bricks, okay? It does not matter if it's a tangible or intangible product. If there was a way that my company, in Rita's case, she sells website and infographic design. So she talks to John. John, if there was a way that my company could provide you the same quality that you've come to experience, or better, because, John, I'm confident that we can do an even more quality job. And there was some additional things, John, that you had mentioned that you wanted that you're not currently getting with the person that you're working with. Can you imagine a scenario where you might want to work with us? He or she affirms positively that they would be willing. Now what you have just done is you've moved them from the attention phase of the sale into the interest phase of the sale. And there's 5 steps to the sale. That's for another broadcast. I'll be glad to share that with you. But they weren't interested until you asked those 4 sequential questions, guys. Excellent, Boytail. Excellent. So, he was going to school for that, graphic design. So, throw yourself into those 4 questions. Go back and listen to this replay. If you are going to be either an entrepreneur or a selling professional, or in my case, both, you have to practice. You need to practice your lines. The great Robert Montgomery Knight, the great Indiana basketball coach, Indiana Hoosiers, once said, everybody wants to be national champions, and no one wants to come to practice. You need to practice. Now, you can't sound like a robot, okay? You can't sound like Siri on your iPhone, but you do need to practice in your mind what is your sequential questions. You need to prepare, because before you have any spectacular performance, you have to put in unspectacular preparation, the mundane preparation. So yes, Mr. Johnson, I do have a process. Process is where it's at, okay? People will follow you if you're worthy of being followed, okay? They want to know, hey, does this guy know what he's talking about? Can he deliver what I'm suggesting in my offer? That's where the trust comes in. That's where the credibility comes in. And ultimately, after trust and credibility, there will be profitability. And then people will reorder with you. They won't even question, Marvin, here's what I need. Can you get this for me? You know what that is? You're not selling there. You're taking an order. Don't we all want to take orders? Well, no one just gives me an order until I first earn that trust and succeed for them and each person one at a time. And so I'm also doing that right now with you. I am attempting, hey Lilia, I am attempting to build your trust, to build your understanding of what it is that I do. And I'm also not only going to offer you something that comes with an offer that's going to come with 10, 15, 20 times more value, But if you don't want to vote and purchase something from me, you can still go to MarvinLeBlanc.com, and there's a free download of some great leadership quotes that will help you get your brain started. Because in the morning, I need at least 2 cups of coffee before I'm rocking and rolling. You might start faster than that, but I got to get all worked up and lathered up. And so I hope this was meaningful to you. And I see Rocio Tierra back in the house. He's been on there before. Thanks for showing up again. Excuse me there. So that concludes my scope tonight. Please go ahead and share with the Perry person. That's not a man and it's not a woman. It's a Perry person. Isn't that politically correct? Share. I thank you for all the hearts. I hope this has been meaningful to you. I appreciate serving you. And use, have, like, dislike, and want. And drop me a line at MarvinLeBlanc.com and tell me how things are going. If you're struggling in a sales presentation, then go ahead and drop me a line and I'll tell you what I would think about it or what I would do in that situation. I've had approximately 19,600 one-on-one sales interviews since 1978. So I think I'm qualified to talk about the topic, and I hope you think I am as well. So good night from South Louisiana. My name is Marvin LeBlanc. I wish you peace. I wish you love. And as always, I wish you gumbo. From the Cajun Rambo, I'm Marvin LeBlanc. Good night, everybody.